And yo, once again, we're back. The Sports Bag Bros podcast is back on a Thursday, heading into a weekend. But this is sports. It's not static. Things continue to move, regardless of whether we're on or not.
Right, what's up? Happy Thursday. Let's get it.
Yeah, man. And let's get it seems to be the operative word because, NFL free agency is about to start up a little bit. But before that even happens, there are teams solidifying the plays they already have. And then there's speculation about other players who would just let go. Well, Russell Wilson in particular. Now they're looking as if the Pittsburgh Steelers may be interested in picking him up, which in my opinion would not be a bad move compared to what they have on their roster. They got rid of Mitch Trubisky, who's now back in Buffalo.
Yeah, that would be a good move, especially if they still have hopes for Kenny Pickett. He can ride the bench and maybe learn some things from Russ.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but we'll see. Is Russ still a top level quarterback? He started out like trash last year, and he improved as the season went on. But he still didn't reach that top tier,
Oh,
or
absolutely
probably
not.
not even the second tier.
Last season was all about anomalies. You look at the numbers, and the numbers never really told the true story because you look at Russell Wilson's numbers, they weren't that bad. In fact, they weren't awful compared to what his team had done. But I think that 70-point drop that was dropped on him kind of just threw the complexion off that entire team kind of moving forward into the season, even though they did get their bearings about them a little bit, considering they have a new coaching staff. They played a lot better down the stretch, but people still remember that 70 points. And then now they look at what Russell Wilson and see that he's gone. He's gone, and it's all much ado about nothing now. So I think with Pittsburgh, with that organization, with Mike Tomlin, and it's just their proclivity to bring in players and things just kind of fit, especially at a key spot like a quarterback. I mean, when they have a star quarterback, bringing in someone that's a stopgap guy, like Rudolph, or when it was or Mitchell Trubisky, those aren't the guys. We're talking about somebody who used to at least have something, showed a little something last season, but now he's on your team.
Yeah, it seems they if they sign him, they'll be trying to squeeze the last little bit he has left out of him.
Mm-hmm.
And their offense, they're not trying to throw the ball over the field.
Nope.
It's run based, and he probably could run that offense pretty well, fairly well, if he's not asked to throw the ball 30, 35 times, if he's maybe throwing it 18 to 22 a game, and the run game's working, then you work in play action passes, he could be very effective.
And I think based on what the Steelers have done over all of these years, and you see how they're able to run the ball effectively, or even if it's not effective, they still just have a way of still winning. We saw the way they were winning last season when they weren't outscored. The only thing they did was outscore. They didn't outgain anyone, and they were still getting wins. And you look at somebody like Russell Wilson comes in, 26 touchdowns, 8 interceptions last season. Bro, you put that on this team, it's probably a playoff win.
Could be. They would have had a better chance than they did this past season. So yeah, that would be an upgrade. And again, it allows Pickett to develop more without having the pressure of having to play on Sundays. Maybe pick up some things from the sidelines and again maybe learn from Russell.
Yeah, and that's one thing I think helps as well. Even though he'll be going into his third season, this is the season you typically wait for a quarterback to kind of make his move. But if Russell Wilson comes in and he's that solid guy, I don't think you get too much dissension from a young quarterback with a guy like this who's kind of like a borderline Hall of Famer on him, and a guy who's won a Super Bowl. He doesn't.
Yeah, he seems like
he may get upset, but not as.
Signing Russ would seem like a bridge type signing to get you, to 2 years from now, get you to 2025 or 26, and Pickett should be ready by then. If not, then they'll be in the world of hurt.
Now, the other side of the conversation, if Russ Wilson goes there, Kenny Pickett finally gets things together in OTAs, goes into training camp, still kind of like the kind of sort of number two because of the seniority of Russ Wilson if he's there. But then he starts playing well. And then they go into the season and he's still kind of playing well. Are you going to get some of that talk going on? Okay, Kenny Pickett, we need to give him a chance. He's still the future of the team if he's playing like this. Or do you still allow Russell Wilson to be the quarterback he is, and we find out whether he still has something left or not, immediately?
Yeah, I think he had, like, again, in that offense with Tomlin, I think he'll fit in well, and I don't think they'll ask him to do too much. So it's not like he's going to be throwing 3 and 4 interceptions every game.
Yeah, that's true. He's not gonna get the chance to do it if he wanted to. And how about your guy? We move over a little bit and talk about some other teams that are making their signings. Jalen Johnson, your guy up there in Chicago, gets a pretty big ass contract. He's ready to
Yep.
roll, man. I mean, at least he's worth the contract, and the Bears are really showing they're making moves here. This is probably the first salvo and real definitive moves they'll be making in the next couple of weeks.
Fingers crossed. But at least they locked up one of their own guys.
Yeah.
The guy from the Bills, what's his name again? He cornerback just got cut. I'd be like, well,
Tre'Davious.
True Davis, yeah. I said that'd be a nice signing. Put him on the other side with Jalen. It'll shore up that defense even more. They just need another edge rusher to go along the other side with Sweat. But the Bears, they have cap room, and now the cap is even much higher than it was before.
Mm-hmm.
So the Bears have a lot of money. It's just whether or not they can convince people to come to town. That's the question.
Exactly. And I was just talking about now, if you got the higher cap, you can bring in probably another cornerback, and that cornerback isn't going to come cheap. I mean, those, especially with those receivers out there, you get two of those guys taking up a pretty nice piece of your salary cap. They really got to deliver, but it also gives that defensive lines better opportunities as well. And even the linebackers blitzing, for that matter, getting it done a little bit better. But the Bears have so much to think about. They're trying to put pieces in place right now, and you can see how they're going about it. But the ultimate decision still comes down to their quarterback situation, whether they pull the trigger in the draft or do they still run with what they believe is an incumbent and still has a piece of potential left in Justin Fields.
Bears are, I think they're in a tough position because I thought the Justin Fields trade would have gone down by now, but it
Yeah,
obviously hasn't. And what's Ryan Poles going to do? Say, you know what? We don't like any of the quarterbacks coming out. We're going to stick with Justin. So number one's up for grabs. Give us 3, give us 4, give us 5, whatever. We'll take Harrison, we'll take Neighbors, or whoever, and then maybe take an edge rusher or maybe Brock Bowers at number 9.
that would be a play right
Everyone says they got to build around Justin. Well, if they don't like Caleb Williams for whatever reason, his attitude, his
Yes.
diva-like qualities, or maybe they watch the film and he says he's only throwing the wide open receivers, and then they look at Jaden Daniels and he's accurate and he throws a nice deep ball, but he's slight. We don't trust that he's going to stay healthy.
Mm-hmm.
So they decide we don't like any of these guys. We got to build around Justin. So trade down, get a second round pick, get a lineman or the edge rusher in the second round because they currently don't have a second round pick. And then they traded a 5th round pick for an offensive lineman. So they even have one less pick. So if you're supposed to be building through the draft, I know how you're going to do that without a second round pick, and then you trade your 5th round pick, and it makes it difficult.
Well, free agency and the draft will be something that's going to work with this for them to get the results they want almost immediately. And I think once again, CJ Stroud put a lot of pressure on teams and quarterbacks coming in by doing and playing the way he's played last season. And in fact, and coming quarterbacks on teams, even now, Trevor Lawrence, based on what CJ Stroud had done last season, now in his own division, the pressure's really, really, really on him now. He got somewhat of a mulligan last season because of what he had done the previous season. But now all eyes on him that he needs to be that franchise quarterback. And the way he was looking last season, sometimes even before the injuries, he wasn't looking like a franchise quarterback. But then as far as going back to the Bears, they still have the cards. They still have the number 1 overall pick. And don't you think it's a little bit more urgency, if not a whole lot more urgency, the day of the draft when teams have to make moves, teams have to make decisions, and they dangle that pick a couple of hours before the draft starts or once they're on the clock?
I don't know. I wouldn't want to wait that long if I'm Ryan Poles, because then you're in a draft day movie scenario with like Kevin Costner, And I mentioned this in past on the past show, it seems like it's setting up like Draft Day, the movie. They have the incumbent quarterback, but they have the number one pick. In the movie, they didn't have it, but they traded up to get the number one pick.
Yeah,
And I don't like Caleb Williams, and
neither do I.
Kevin Costner didn't like what Bo Callahan, so he didn't draft him. Of course, it's not the same thing. It's reality, but it's eerily similar. I don't think you want to go to draft day. If you remember the movie, he made a stupid trade. He gave away like 3 number 1s, 2 number 2s, and
Herschel Walker trade.
the
Or the
coach
Russell
was
Wilson trade all
yeah
over again.
the coach was pissed at him, and you don't want to get desperate on draft day.
Now, come on. I mean, I'm thinking that they're sensible. They know exactly what we know and a whole lot more of what they want to do. I think it's going to come down to if it did become a draft day deal, they're negotiating all the way up until then. They're taking calls, I'm sure, even right now, taking calls on different trades and things they want to do. And when free agency comes around, they're probably taking even more calls. So, yeah, I don't think it's a
But if
scenario.
you look at it from other teams' standpoint, they also know the Bears either they have to trade it. Or
They don't have to trade it.
well, no, they don't have to trade it, but they have to trade Justin Fields. And if they think they're going to get a better deal on draft day than they are now, I think teams are waiting them out. That's why the trade hasn't gone down. They're not
So
offering
what happens?
anything. And
So
then what happens after free agency? Let's say Cousins goes to Atlanta, Flacco goes to the Raiders. Those are 2 landing spots for Justin Fields.
yeah.
If Russell goes to Pittsburgh, who's going to trade for Justin Fields?
But what if this is all gamesmanship and Justin Fields is someone they want to keep on the roster long term, or at least give him an opportunity in the next season and see how it works out, even though the third season is supposed to have been the year.
The Bears?
They're the Bears. They do not have to get rid of him. They can keep him now. The fans, and you say as a Bears fan, you know that it's split down the middle from what you said between Bears fans that want him and Bears fans that don't want him. So, I mean, they're kind of
I'm on record as saying just because they draft Caleb Williams doesn't mean they have to trade Fields. The Bears fancy themselves as a potential playoff team next year. So, do you really want to give the keys to the car to the rookie quarterback?
I wouldn't. Well, now because of CJ Stroud again. We have the CJ Stroud.
Yeah,
and you know that happens every now and then. It doesn't happen often.
But the way CJ Stroud played was way above anybody could ever expect.
Any rookie.
I mean,
he had Dan Marino to make comparisons.
He had last minute drives, pulling out games at the end. I mean, he was doing things like a seasoned veteran.
Making real throws.
Right. I don't think you can just say, well, CJ Stroud did it. Our guy's going to do it too. Hey, what CJ Stroud did last year was special.
Yeah, it was.
He took a team that had the number 2 pick in the draft to the playoffs, a 10-win season.
And won in the playoffs. Come on.
And won the playoff game.
I mean, come on. And this is a team that was supposed to have been a perennial doormat for years. Even he was supposed to have been a building block for the team, but they're looking further ahead, probably going into his second contract for when they were going to finally make their move. This guy did it firsthand. And the way that he had done it, I mean, I still think it puts pressure on quarterbacks coming in. It put pressures on GMs to really know their job. You know, what's the difference between this GM and the other GM? Well, I got CJ Stroud. I pointed him out, and look at what Bryce Young had not done. And this is how, this is what we can do. I'm sure the egos of these GMs and these presidents of these teams is pointing to something like that. They need to answer what happened last season. I don't know if you have the talent in the pool that we have of quarterbacks to answer with that, but I think that's kind of a scenario we're under.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong. I mean, people think they're smarter than they are, and they act like it too.
It's true. You took some team in the first round in Denver with Josh McDaniels. No one else was talking about him going in the first round, but he decides, well, I'm the one who's going to make him a star. No, you didn't. That's just the ego of these NFL players. Oh, coaches too.
So, we're what, like a month away? No, a month. Well, when is the draft? Like usually in the middle of April.
Right? End of April. They moved it to May one time, but end of April now.
So we're like a month and a half away. A lot can still happen. Free agency's got to start open up, and free agency can change things as well. I mean, well, what if the Bears They accept a third round pick. That's probably what it is. They don't want a third round. They wanted a second round. Of course, they'll take a first round, but who's going to offer a first round? So
No.
maybe they say, you know what, let's just take the third round, a third and a sixth or whatever it is, and we sign Russell Wilson,
Whoa, that would be something else right there. But I
right?
mean, if
And,
but
and then they have Russell Wilson mentoring Caleb Williams. Hopefully not Jaden Daniels, either one. But that seems to make more sense because if you fancy yourself as a playoff team, again, you don't want to give the keys to the car to the rookie. Bring in a veteran. He's been there before. And Bears, they're not a high octane passing offense either.
no,
So he could work well with the Bears too.
yeah, but we already know what Russell Wilson is going to come down to. He has a chance to pick, and if he has a chance to pick a team, he's probably going to go with the team he believes is going to be an organization where he has the best opportunity to go to the playoffs and ultimately go to, get in the playoffs and do something significant. And then I
True.
think the
I'm
right
just saying
talent
that
factor matters.
I'm just saying if the Bears want to make a real splash, like that would shock everybody, right? We're like, whoa, that came out of
Absolutely.
nowhere.
A lot of money involved too, because that $25 million house that he has in Denver that's up for sale right now, he just bought it in 2022 when he thought he had a nice little contract and a whole bunch of money to take care of it.
Well, he's
Now
still
they
getting
got go.
paid by the Broncos,
Oh,
so
he's getting paid, yeah. But
that's the luxury for whoever signs him.
and that big that let me see, they don't have to pay him the $35 million, I believe, because they cut him in beforehand. They don't have to give him that $35 million if he would stay on the roster, 35, whatever it was, 35 million so forth. But I'm thinking, yeah, if he ends up with the Bears, that would be a surprise among surprises. And you can still bring in a young quarterback, and then you can still get Justin Fields out of there, bringing the young quarterback to center behind Russell Wilson instead. Bro,
Right.
that's like the perfect storm.
You can quote do right by Justin, get him out of town where you can get a fresh start, bring in a veteran who can help develop a young quarterback and possibly get you into the playoffs. But I mean, Bears division, man. You look at you got Stafford, you got Love, and I don't know who the Vikings are gonna have, but it could be the Bears have the fourth best quarterback in just the division, no matter who the Vikings sign.
Yeah. And so, well, that's how it's going to turn out as far as talking about Russell Wilson or seeing what happens with Justin Fields, man. There's so much more time before that happens. We still have pro days and seeing what these quarterbacks that didn't perform in the combine, what they might do in their pro day. But once again, staying in the NFL, running back seems to be on the free agent market. They're making the most noise right now. But the devalued position, what does it really matter? You're getting a solid player regardless, but they'll be complaining about something sooner or later. The Giants did not franchise Saquon Barkley like they did last year. They're going to just let him go out there. And the opening numbers seem as if he's interested in going to the Houston Texans, which I think is an excellent move. He ends up there.
Yeah, I've seen reports that he and CJ Stroud have been in contact with each other.
Yeah.
Just a little while ago, I saw a Bleacher Report saying the Eagles are trying to sign Saquon. That would be interesting.
In the division. Oh, that'd be freaking fire,
if Saquon has a chip on his shoulder, you know what? I'm going to Philly. I'm going to give it to you 2 times a year.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You know what? And Philly has the upper hand anyway overall with their team. And the Giants just seem pretty stagnant. And even when they do something that seems unbelievable, you still realize they have Daniel Jones, and it might not happen for the long term. But Saquon Barkley there, you still have Derrick Henry out there. Derrick Henry in the running back market. Now, the price of these running backs, are they going to be upset with the overall value of the running back? Is it going to go up as much as they think it needs to go up? Because we talked about it way before. Running backs is pretty much the only position that has not changed since 2015 in terms of the overall average salary. I mean, compared to everyone else, even punters went up more than what running backs did.
So I think you have to be an all-purpose back like Christian McCaffrey if you want to get a bag.
Yeah.
If you just run the ball, you don't catch the ball out of the backfield, you're pretty much a dime a dozen nowadays, right?
Yeah.
And as far as Derrick Henry goes, he's a little long in the tooth. I don't see him getting a big contract. So
and he started getting banged up a little bit towards the end of his career, which I don't hope this is not the end of his career, but this is the kind of the twilight. And based on the number of carries he's had, the type of pounding he's taken, all this time he's been reliable for them. But you started to see, like Christian Okoye years ago, someone who was formidable, busting through lines, was intimidating. And then the Steve Atwater hit comes, and the next thing you know, he's not playing the same anymore. Then his career pretty much just ends somewhat in obscurity. Mm-hmm. I don't think Derrick Henry is going to go into obscurity, but he's not going to be what we used to see from him. He's not going to be what he once was. That time is gone. There is no other gear he can do. I don't think catching out of the backfield is going to change who he is.
Is he at the point where he doesn't have anything to prove and he shouldn't try and prove it because he probably doesn't have it like he used to, and maybe sign with the contender? Go to Miami, Buffalo, San Francisco, sign for cheap and try and get a ring.
Yeah, that might be a case. Remember Corey Dillon did the same thing. Went up there in New England, got himself a ring with Cincinnati all these years. OJ Anderson, he was way back with that one. Yeah, OJ Anderson, man. And he was old when he came there. He was old when he came to the Giants. In fact, that was
doing that forearm.
The Mark Kelso, I think it was. And Rodney Hampton was the running back in the first round that year coming out of Georgia. And he ended up taking over after Otis Anderson. But, OJ ends up getting the Super Bowl MVP that year, and it should have gone to Thurman Thomas, even in a losing cause the way he was playing. But that helmet issue you're talking about, so might have got it out of there. But yeah,
he didn't lose in that Super Bowl though.
Oh, okay. Oh no, that was the Dallas one.
Cowboys.
The Cowboys, yeah, the Dallas one. So, and then you have Jacobs out there in Las Vegas. Another.
I just saw a report the Bears have interest in Jacobs.
Now,
I don't know.
He led the league 2 seasons ago, not last season, but the season before in rushing. Man, but watching him play, man, he doesn't give you Derrick Henry vibes. He doesn't give you explosive vibes. He just gives you pedestrian, hardcore, kind of almost Eddie George vibes. And I'm seeing Eddie George on a mediocre day, not Eddie George when he was really killing it. He just got a lot of yards because he's got a ball a lot in a bad team. I mean, Maurice Jones-Drew did that here in Jacksonville. He led the league in rushing when the team was just absolutely kaput.
Yeah. He'll be an upgrade for the Bears as far as guys who run the ball. Mm-hmm. Khalil Herbert. I know a lot of Bears like him. I'm not big on him. And he doesn't. I don't know about Jacobs being able to protect the quarterback. I don't know about his blocking skills, but I know Herbert doesn't block. We'll see. I'm sure there's quite a few teams who have interest in him.
Oh, yeah. I mean, quite a few teams, but I'm just looking at the running backs that are now going into free agency, and you look at those 3 guys that we had mentioned, and that's a pretty nice pot of players. And I was thinking about when you was talking about the running backs having to do extra or whatever, and we're talking about the value of running backs and how it's gone down. Melvin Gordon was one of those guys I was thinking about almost immediately when he went to Baltimore. I thought it would be a shoo-in for him. Gus Edwards is a very solid player, and he's just under being good, but he's solid and reliable. I thought Melvin Gordon would be able to come in with his explosiveness and do something. This guy hasn't done anything. And not only that, he just got over $1 million to come. So they're not even paying these guys.
Yeah, that was a disappointment for them, I'm sure.
Absolutely. I mean, I was expecting a little bit more from – in fact, as his entire career goes, I was expecting more from Melvin Gordon coming out of Wisconsin. After what he had done to Auburn in the bowl game, absolutely just ran through them like people talk that Big Ten SEC thing. He ran right through them like they weren't even there. And he had an excellent season overall that year. So I thought he would be one of those special backs in the NFL. Never materialized. And here he is now at the tail end of his career, trying to hang on for like minimum wage for the Baltimore Ravens.
Anyway. Those Wisconsin teams, man, they had some big old linemen blocking.
Oh, absolutely. Man, huge linemen. But even with the huge linemen,
made running backs look a little bit better than they actually were.
And that's probably true. But down here in the South, in the SEC country, which we are in, which I'm in right now, I mean, forget about it. You mention anything from the Big Ten, they're just telling you big and slow. That should be the end of it. Wait till these big boys for the country knock them upside their heads. They're not going to want to run it anymore. And that's exactly what Wisconsin did. Their big, slow offensive linemen with their stud running back at the time Melvin Gordon running through them like it was nothing. They had no answers. And that's why I was like, well, okay, he might be one of the different ones because sometimes you can see when it's just the offensive line that's just doing things over and over. Ron Dane did well behind that offensive line, and he had such a nondescript freaking NFL career, whatever. You know what I mean? I mean, Tyrone Wheatley did excellent behind the Michigan line. Never had a really stellar NFL career. Solid, not stellar as you would think his talent would dictate. And so, yeah, man, I mean, I thought that Melvin Gordon would be a lot better than what he turned out to be in the NFL. And here he is in Baltimore. But that's what we have now. Those three running backs we're talking about in free agency. I don't know where they'll land. I don't even know where they'll serve best. Jacobs, because he's younger. That's it.
So what do you think about all the different reports and chatter that's been around since the combine? Because now I've heard that Roma Dunze is actually the best wide receiver in the draft.
Man,
or other people were saying Neighbors.
If
it's not a Dunze, it's Neighbors and not Harrison Jr.
See, now we're hearing all this. Now, Harrison Jr., in terms of overall talent, I don't think he has a peer in the draft. I'm thinking they're looking at the overall picture of being consistent and being reliable, which I don't believe he was reliable. He's been injured too many times, even if it's 2 times that he's been known to be injured. I mean, in the biggest game, well, he got hurt. You can't help that, but that just happens. It gets you that table of injury prone and, that label, and that's what he had gotten.
Running into the goalpost.
You're running the goalpost, you know what? And that's just an unfortunate mishap.
But one guy says, don't dog Harrison. They didn't throw it to him enough. I didn't watch a lot of Ohio State games. I just know he didn't go off like we expected him. We both picked him to be the Heisman winner.
Yeah.
But he didn't put up crazy numbers. As the season went on, he put up better numbers.
Mm-hmm.
He was doing like 8 for 130 and a touchdown, but nothing really crazy from what you expect from a Heisman candidate.
Yeah, but it had everything to do, I think, with the new quarterback being in place, and this, even though it was his quarterback in high school and they were kind of, I think they're roommates at Ohio State, it took some time for him to get together. In fact, he transferred. I think he's in Syracuse now.
Yeah, he transferred.
So I think it had a lot to do with that. You put him out there with Caleb Williams, man, the guy has 2,000 yards. I think so. You put him out there with Michael Penix in college.
Oh, okay.
I mean, Michael Penix, put him out there with Michael Penix, probably a lot of the same. You know what I mean? Somebody who can really get the ball to him and just throw his dimes. We saw Troy Edwards years ago, who almost got up to that 2,000-yard point. So, I mean, I think that Marvin Harrison Jr., with the right quarterback, hell, C.J. Stroud would have came back. It would have been that way. But, yeah, this is what you get around draft time. He is like the flavor of the day, not even the month anymore. Every time it's the newest guy. And wait until pro days start coming, and then you start hearing these new numbers start trickling out. Oh, now he ran a 4.02. Oh, now this the guy's the best dude in the draft. He's going to go in the first 3 picks. Come on.
Yeah, so how much did Xavier Worthy actually help himself?
Oh, I think it was spectacularly. But going by what you've seen during games, if you watched enough Texas games this year, he was actually a pretty damn good wide receiver then. Now the speed part, like I said last week or earlier this week, I didn't think this. I knew he was fast, but the numbers that came up at the combine, I didn't think he was out there like that. But now that he's out there like that, that can only help. We already know these people see it over and over when it comes down to a 40 time, and they jump all over it. They've seen so many busts come through. John Ross being one of the latest busts with a big time number with the 40-yard dash. But then every now and then you have that guy who does well, like Chris Johnson when he came out from East Carolina. Runs the ball well, had explosive speed, got over 2,000 yards. So that's one of the times that it actually worked. Now, I think Xavier Worthy, I don't even think it depends on where he goes. Well, it does, because you need a quarterback to get the damn ball to him. He can't have Kenny Pickett throwing it to him. But if he has a solid quarterback throwing that ball to him, I mean, man, he's going to be
dangerous. Yeah.
That speed's going to really matter, because he's not a track guy that plays football. He's a football player that's fast as hell.
It could be, let's say he goes, mid first round or maybe like 22. I don't know who has the 22nd pick. But now you're talking either playoff teams or teams right there for the playoffs.
Bro, don't let him go to Kansas City.
Better quarterbacks throwing him the ball.
Yeah.
Than Marvin Harrison Jr. will have, than Neighbors and Adunze will have. So he'll probably have a better rookie season.
Imagine this: the Houston Texans get him, bro.
Oh my
That would be
God.
hot. That would be yo, bro. I might have to buy a damn
Man,
Texans jersey, man.
they signed Saquon and draft Worthy. Oh my gosh.
That would be on
CJ
another planet,
Stroud would be salivating. It was just like,
bro. God, that would be something for real. Yeah, but yeah, and I'm glad that he had done that at the combine. But when you look at his overall numbers and what he had done as a true freshman coming out of high school, doing as well as he did there, I mean, the guy caught touchdowns from the time he stepped on campus. So I think that as far as people probably don't follow Texas as much or didn't know enough about him, I mean, this just accentuated the talent he has. Whereas the video is going to show you the player he is. And I think coaches are happy about the player that he is here. Steve Sarkisian loved him.
so is it possible? I mean, I know he had a good season, Worthy, but is it possible he was hurt by who was throwing him the ball?
The Quinn Ewers, yeah, you know what, the inconsistency of Quinn Ewers coming in, Ewers coming in, and even though he had arm strength coming out of high school, man, and I remember you had Gunner on and he was talking about his arm strength, and I remember seeing videos about his arm strength, but I watched the games and that arm strength isn't exactly what you would expect it to translate to on the field. I mean, I've seen that before with Chad Pennington when he was at Marshall. They was saying he had laser beams and throwing it deep. My man threw like a wiffle ball in the air in the Meadowlands. It things like a knuckleball. You know, you need some chopstick to catch it like Miyagi. Come on. But it was just his arm strength, didn't really impress me. But he was a cerebral quarterback. He knew what he was doing. He knew his system, kind of like Drew Brees. Drew Brees has a good arm, but that arm that he had that he used with Joe Tiller up there at Purdue, that's what got him the opportunity at being a second rounder.
So what's next?
What's next, man? I was hoping you didn't say that because we might have to pivot to some damn boxing or lack thereof. Well, first of all, we have Francis Ngannou fighting Joshua. Come on, man. Anthony Joshua this Saturday. And then, of course, Mike Tyson deciding to fight Jake Paul. Now, deciding to match up with Jake Paul because I don't think there's a fight happening. There's not going to be a real fight there. If Mike, even at 57, I think Mike Tyson can still knock this guy out. I know people will think, no, you're hanging on to the past. At some point, regardless, the punch is the last thing to go. George Foreman showed us this. The punch is always the last thing to go.
Are they wearing headgear?
Headgear? Bro, if they're talking headgear, I'm done. I ain't talking about this fight. Come on, man. I don't know.
Because he wore headgear when he fought Roy, didn't he?
Was it headgear? No.
No? I thought they did.
Not that I remember.
I remember being disappointed. That's about the only thing. I remember being disappointed. That's all I remember.
You know what?
I could have sworn they had headgear.
Holy crap! Because I watched that fight. If they had a headgear, that means COVID really did mess my brain up. For real, I can't remember no damn helmet. For real. But I mean, even if Mike, it has to be a case of Mike being serious. Because even under those circumstances, Roy Jones was like, yo, bro, that guy hits so hard. Now, I would expect him to say that. He's a natural middleweight, even though he did fight at heavyweight at some point. But he's like, that guy still hits hard. And Mike at 57 now, fighting someone like that, and he's going to get hit at least sometime in however many rounds they decide to go. 8 rounds, 10 rounds, whatever, 2-minute, 3-minute rounds. I think it would be 3-minute rounds. And he's going to get hit by him. And how does he respond to it? And I doubt he can hurt Mike, even at 57. Now, on the other hand, we saw Evander Holyfield going there against an MMA guy, and in the first round, the ref stopped the fight. I think it was more because of Holyfield's age, and he didn't want him to take a beating, more so than actual Holyfield being who he is and being able to come back. The ref just didn't want to be the one involved if something serious happened.
Yeah, I didn't even see that. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure I won't watch it.
Which one? Mike Tyson?
Yeah.
Bro, everybody.
I won't watch Joshua Ngannou neither.
You know what? I'm debating on that one. I'm debating. A friend of mine just asked me today, are you going to watch it? Because he's watching it. So I'm like, dog it, man. I knew it was coming off. I actually, for some reason, thought I thought that March 8th was going to be on a Saturday. For some reason, it's on Friday. I mean, it's going to be the 53rd anniversary of Ali Frazier won. So, and they're going to desecrate that day with the fight like this. but that's what they're doing. Money to
Bogus.
be made.
Bogus.
But I do believe Anthony Joshua should handle him fairly easy because at least for all his flaws in terms of chin and conditioning, he's serious in the ring. Fury plays around too damn much, man. If Fury was serious, when he's serious, he goes out there and he wins, and he does it decisively. When he's BSing and not caring about who he's fighting, we get what we saw last time. Now, it's not taking anything away from Ngannou because a big man can still land a shot, and we saw it.
Yeah, I was disappointed in Fury. He didn't look like himself, but he's getting long in the tooth also. But I want to ask you something. Did you see Ryan Garcia's video talking about what did he say? He's being taken advantage of.
About De La Hoya?
He's going through some things. But then here's my question though. Devin Haney was saying that that Garcia disrespected his religion. And Garcia is adamant, I didn't disrespect your religion. And Haney's saying, I can show you the DMs. And Garcia says, I wished him a Merry Christmas. I didn't know he was Muslim. He's like, I believe in Jesus Christ. And
that's the disrespect that he's talking about, that he sent him Merry Christmas.
So nobody showed any DMs, but Haney refuses to say what Garcia says. Garcia says that he wished him a Merry Christmas and says, thank you, Jesus, or God bless you, or something along the lines, not mentioning Allah. And he's saying that he disrespected his Muslim faith. What do you think?
Man, in this day and age, I just don't know anymore whether it's just something to hype up the fight or this is something they're seriously taking serious. I think Haney he takes boxing serious. It's just that he doesn't have a lot of personality. Ryan Garcia has all the followers, and he has the personality in terms of carrying the promotion. He's the one carrying the promotion in terms of the notoriety and the reason why people are going to buy the fight outside of hardcore boxing fans. But if he's throwing this kind of crap out there, I mean, I think it just comes across as trolling.
I got another question. Did you see the press conference? There's a lot of banter going back and forth. Mr. Haney, Mr. Garcia.
Oh, that guy.
And Mr. Garcia said something about Haney's nappy hair. And what? Haney was like, you gonna let him say that racist? That's racist. That's racist.
Oh, come on. Like, what is not racist today?
I don't know if you look at him, his hair is pretty nappy.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not like he has dreadlocks and like it's not nappy.
He got out of the bed, went to the gym.
Yeah.
That's what he did.
Like Don King, his hair was crazy, but I wouldn't call it nappy. It was like well kept.
It was a crown.
Mr. Haney comes out, his shit's just all out there. It's nappy.
That's exactly what it is. But in this age that we're living in,
I don't think that's racist. I'm sorry.
If everything is racist, nothing's racist. And when you look at his freaking hair, we see it for what it is. Would it have been different if I said, damn, Bill Haney has a nappy head? Or is it different because it's Ryan Garcia or Ryan Garcia's father?
If he says, man, your family eats a lot of tacos. He's Mexican. Yeah, Mexicans eat tacos. That's not racist. It's just
we got way too carried away with all this rhetoric and people wanted to be victims.
There's certain ways it could be said from a racist standpoint, but just saying it's not racist.
Yeah, well, we've seen worse. People just saying things that seem pretty innocuous, and someone's taking it the completely different way just because they can. So
I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't me and I was missing something.
I don't think there was anything racist about that, in regards to how it went down like that. As long as he didn't come with the typical really harsh racist words, man. We haven't seen that too much in boxing anyway, with the hard racist crap. We've seen things like this that things could be said, and then someone would take it that way because that's how they want to take it. But in terms of someone really going after someone and using that slur and all that other nonsense, I don't think we've seen enough of it. And it hasn't been that way to boxing's credit, because in fight sports, period, you really get the bottom of the barrel when it comes down to people either trying to push a fight or they're telling you their true feelings. They can tell you their true feelings, man. We've heard Bernard Hopkins nonsense for years. What was he saying? I would never lose to a white boy. Sounds pretty damn racist to me, because racism is the inherent belief that one race is superior to another. Well, you say a white boy can't beat you based on him being white. That's superiority. Right. But no one talks about that. But so
Yeah,
Bernard said that more than once. And in fact, Devin Haney said the same kind of crap himself.
like when Cheryl Swoop says it's impossible for her to be racist. No, it's not impossible. And then she flipped the script saying, I'm not racist because I have a white friend. That's what white racists say. I'm not racist. I have a black friend. She just flipped it. Fuck out of here. She's
have a
racist.
white friend. I let him borrow my glowing cross. Come on.
But since I mentioned Swoops, we got to talk basketball.
Yeah.
Karl Anthony Towns, man.
Oh, man.
Tough blow for the T-Wolves.
Seriously, right when they equal right now with OKC, same record, bro.
Yeah.
At the wrong time for them, at least.
Yeah, so initial reports said it was a meniscus tear, but now they're saying that it's not confirmed that it's a tear. So fingers crossed, maybe it's not serious. He can come back in a few weeks. I don't know, but it certainly damages the T-Wolves and their chances to go for the top seed.
They're going to have to really hit that bench and see if that bench delivers. Because in football, you get a meniscus, a player could come back, go into the scope, come back in about 6 weeks or something like that. Football is a little bit more, a lot more demanding than basketball. But then you look at the hardwood floor and look at the way these individuals are built, maybe just as long. But if he did take that long, he's back for the playoffs. But what's going to happen with their seeding between now and then? They won't be the number one seed anymore because of they're going to check them L's without him, man. That dude's a hell of an integral part of that team.
Yeah, and it's tough to replace a 6'10" guy with the offensive skills that he has, can shoot from three, dominating the paint, block shots, drop dimes. They're gonna miss him. Hopefully it's not serious and he can come back relatively soon. But good luck to him, man.
Oh yeah, man. I hate when that type of thing happens. I mean, at any time. But when a team like the Minnesota Timberwolves have been playing as they've been playing, holding that number one spot for quite some time, even over the defending champs in Denver, and then to have one of their key players get injured. I mean, you don't want to see a backup get injured, but we know the key player for a reason. And you know that with him not being there, it takes so much out of that team. The 15th guy on the bench isn't going to hurt the team that much if he gets hurt. So it's going to turn out to woulda, coulda, shoulda if he doesn't come back or if he's not the same when he comes back. If he wouldn't have got hurt, man, we'd have played a lot better. And who wants to hear that crap and wait for another year?
Right. I mean, when he does come back, it's probably going to take a week or two for him to get his rhythm back, rhythm and timing.
Yeah.
You don't just sit out 6 weeks and then come back dropping 25, 30.
Nope. Well, unless he's like Ja. Well, Ja was to come up with injury, so
he was injured though. Yeah,
he was practicing with the team, so he came back and just started dropping dimes like it was crazy. Yeah, but man, I don't know what to say about the Lakers, man. It's not like you want to root for them if you're not a Laker fan, but you're thinking that they're going to be. Because look, the playoffs are better when the Lakers are our story. The playoffs are better when the Celtics are our story. Even the playoffs might be better when Chicago and New York are somewhat of a story. I mean, just overall, because there's a certain areas where you just get that fan base that just overdoes it. That's going to make the playoffs a lot better. Even Atlanta, when Trae Young was doing what he was doing at the Garden, it's nice when a play like that is in there. But the Lakers, man, it's like they'll give you this tease of, okay, they finally get together. And if you're listening to LeBron's rhetoric of, we're going to win it again, man, this goes down to two. They'll win 4 in a row, then boom, it's smacked.
Well, I told you last week, if LeBron has to hit 6 threes in the fourth quarter or drop 35 every night, they're going to be in trouble because he's not going to do that every night. And so you're going to have the up and downs. He might be able to pull out one game and then leave the game early because his ankle hurts. Yeah. Or was it because they were down 19? I don't know.
Man, well, the Lakers they have their work cut out for them, man. It's getting fewer and fewer games to make their point. Well, they'll get into the play-in game.
You say the same thing about the Warriors. They lose by 50 against the Celtics, and then last night
they worked come back against the Bucks and blew the Bucks out.
Yeah,
absolutely destroyed the Bucks. And I'm like, and
the Suns beat the Celtics, the Nuggets.
Yeah,
things are getting interesting.
Very interesting now. And it's not like people are kind of holding back because they wanted to save players for this season, like end of season push. These players are there to do what they need to do to solidify the spot they want to be in. And with all of that on the line, the team that's supposed to win are losing, the teams that's supposed to lose are winning, and everything else in between. and I mean Golden State blowing out the Bucks. Now, is this a case of the Bucks kind of just having a little off night, or is it actually a West versus East thing, and the West may have the upper hand after all?
Well, I watched the game last night, and what it was a good team effort from the Warriors. I mean, Steph came out. I think he hit his first 4 shots, so that helped anyway. But Kuminga was in his bag. Podziemski was getting shots. Chris Paul was back dropping dimes. Trace Jackson Davis, he blocked Giannis's shot on the same possession.
Damn.
They went down court and Steph threw him an alley-oop. I was like, check out the rookie. Like, yo, I'm here. And he ended up blocking Giannis's shot again later. Trace Jackson Davis had himself a hell of a game last night.
Definitely a team win. And an absolute blowout in the process, though. But, man, I mean, we've been seeing a lot of blowouts this year. I mean, ridiculous blowouts makes you think that some of these guys shouldn't be in the league. 50-point blowouts, 40-point blowouts, and they've been happening pretty damn frequently.
Well, you look at the blowouts, like they haven't been like 119 to 70. They've been like 140 to 89 or 35.
For real.
Well, the thing is,
boat races, man.
Yeah, teams are going to score points. If you don't keep up with them, you're in trouble.
Yeah,
especially like the Celtics when they're rolling, because they've cracked 140 like 3 times, I believe, this year.
And Indiana's another team that scores a boatload of points as well, man. It is absolutely insane with the points. In fact, I think it was them I was watching when I noticed that, man, there's a lot of points scored in the NBA back in December, man. Like, God, there's a lot of points getting scored and nothing's let up. They continue to do it. Now Vegas finally catches up. They have over-unders going into games at 260, 255. God damn,
that's
what's
crazy,
going on?
Man. That's crazy.
Yeah, man. It destroys live betting if you got so satisfied with the great teams are going to get 60-point over-under for one quarter. Now they're like 60 and a half or 65 or 65 and a half and 70. The hell?
Yeah, but I mentioned this before the thugs. I mean, there's always a thug here and thug there, but when entire teams turn into thugs.
Yeah.
Growing up, I used to watch Sunday night games on ESPN, and the scores would be like 122, 117.
Yep.
And to
the Bernard King days in New York.
Yeah, Bernard King would drop 50 on anybody.
That's what I'm saying.
Too bad he got that knee injury. God, even when he came back, he was still getting buckets. He just wasn't as explosive as he was before. But you know, maybe it goes in spurts because they used to score a lot of points back then, and then you have your 92-88 games, Bulls versus Pistons, and then the Heat Knicks 81-79. You know.
Vomit, man. The Pat Riley Knicks, bunch of goons on the team, man.
But the NBA, they recognized it. They needed more offense, and now it's wide open. I mean, it's so wide open, they let fuckers take 5 steps and they don't call it travel now.
No, bro, I've seen that so many times, not even just this season.
Those step backs are fucking crazy, man.
Man, these dudes are just walking everywhere. You know what? How about the basketball in a suitcase will be more apropos with the way they're going about basketball these days, and no one playing defense. Another case. Just forget about it. No defense, man. This is not what they do. They're almost a basketball player.
Like John Moran, I think last year or maybe 2 years ago, he said he would cook Michael Jordan. Anthony Edwards said it a couple of weeks ago or a couple of months ago.
He said it way back.
And I'm sure they probably would score some points on them. But if they were playing in the 80s and 90s, late 80s, 90s, we're talking about Anthony Edwards averages 25 points a game now. He'd be lucky to average 18 in the 90s.
I'm about to say 19, 18, man.
He'd be he might get a couple buckets or a dunk on Akeem or whatever, but he wouldn't be the star he is now.
Nah, it was just a different era of basketball back then, and almost everything went. When did they get rid of the hand check? When was that? In the early 90s or what?
Either early 90s or mid 90s.
Yeah, man. I remember Mo Cheeks was known for that hand check. You know, Derek Harper was known for the hand check, and they just took that away. That was valuable for guys back then. Now these guys have the benefit of not having to worry about that. So Ja can talk his nonsense, even though his handle's kind of nasty. You know, Kyrie doesn't talk nonsense, but you see his handle as well. But man, that's just it's hard to compare yesteryear to now for obvious reasons. And then I
Yeah,
think athletes
it's
overall
hard.
are just better overall.
It's hard to cross someone over when they got their arm in your side.
Yeah, yeah, right. Did I? Yeah. Well, that's the NBA we have right now. They more points. Americans love points, even though basketball is an international game. The NBA
Points,
leads
home
the way.
runs, touchdowns, all of it.
Exactly. And so when baseball comes, even though you have Coors Field, people like the runs there, but baseball kind of fell out of favor a bit because of the lack of runs. And I think that's why they did kind of speed up the game and kind of had the juice ball era and all that, and the juice player era.
Oh
While they
yeah,
still
they
have it.
had to speed up the game. I love the pitch clock.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I don't know. I go to the games and I just like to chill at the games, man. I don't think anything much is. There aren't too many things better than going to a baseball park. And I've gone to football games. I've gone to golf
Well,
tournaments.
I agree with that, but
Baseball park is just a thing.
there's no reason a 9 inning game should be 4 hours because of TV commercials and pitching
Yeah, that's true
changes
too.
and no.
So I sit here in Jacksonville watching minor league baseball games, the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp, which used to be the Jacksonville Suns. But man, now they're AAA. They used to be Double A, man. They just changed up on me a few years ago. But anyways, man, I just like watching baseball, man. I don't think there's just
Yo,
too many things better than doing just sit at the park.
Sorry, I just thought of something else. What is going on with Shannon Sharp? So a video went viral, and I'm hearing there's rumors of him being gay. And what the
Gay.
fuck is what did I miss?
What did I miss? Where did that come from?
I don't know. It might have been the outfit he was wearing. It was tight as hell.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Bro, my man could have been on Soul Train from back in the 70s or something with that joint.
I don't know. Like people come to conclusions just off
Oh,
outfits.
you know how it is. You don't got to be right. You just have to say it. It doesn't have
I
to
don't
be
know.
correct.
I was just wondering if you had actually heard or seen something because I haven't.
Oh nah. I mean, I just heard about Stephen A. Smith being left off some show. I don't know if ESPN is making new moves or something. I don't know. I just saw a headline. They didn't say he was out, but it was like he's Ryan Clark has a show on ESPN now, so doing a show on ESPN. So I guess I don't know. That's what brought it to the forefront that Stephen A's been moved over and Ryan Clark put in some other place. I can't remember what it was. I just saw the headline.
I saw a headline about that too. I should have read it, but
yeah,
it might have been the video. I think it was like 45 minutes long. I'm like,
okay.
I didn't have
I
45
saw the
minutes.
headline in an article, so I was like, interesting. But hey, you know what? You said Ryan Clark does know what he's talking about. He's one of those cerebral guys. He doesn't have to scream to
For
make his
football,
point.
I haven't really heard him talk other sports.
Oh, really?
Football,
Oh, yeah, that's true.
He knows his stuff.
Because even Stephen A., basketball is his thing, but he tries to dabble in other things like baseball and football. But being a New Yorker, man, I think you can't help it. If you're a sports person living in cities like New York, Philadelphia, Boston, Chicago, I think you can't help but just know a plethora of sports just because of being there. Yeah. If you're a sports person, I mean, even a little bit of the hockey, you don't got to know players' names, but you have an idea. I mean, seriously, that's just how it's been, man. You know the Mets and the teams they play. You know the Yankees and the teams they play. The Rangers in hockey, the Islanders, the Devils, right across the way. I mean, you typically know about those things. But anyway, slow it on down.
Wrap it up.
Yeah, wrap it up because hey, we know something's going to happen in between now and because free agency is coming, so we know there are going to be some rumors out there. There are going to be some pro days as well because players have to get their pro days in. And then spring football practice. I think I got my date highlighted so far, subject to change. April 13th of Miami Hurricanes and having their spring game. They're moving it from Fort Lauderdale, where it was for the past couple of years, down to I think it's Green Tree Field, their typical spot. They used to have it back in the day. So I'll be making the gander down there. That's the plan.
Why do they play it off campus?
Because they don't have an on-campus facility.
Or wherever they play the football games.
Oh, well, that's over. That's over the Dolphins and all that. They just I don't know because one year they had it up here in Orlando. They had it in Orlando, and I went to that game. When Al Blaze Jr. was there. But yeah, they had it in Orlando. Then they had it at this Pink Park in Fort Lauderdale. And I was gonna go last year, but it was on a Friday. It was like, bruh, because the ACC network was covering it. But now it's gonna be back down in Miami area, so that's likely a destination. So I'll go and see April 13th where it stands right now. but spring practice is
When you
right
go,
here. They already started practicing already, by the way.
when you going overseas?
Leaving on Friday, next week Friday.
Oh, okay. When you come back?
The following week Friday.
So am I gonna do shows by myself Monday and Thursday?
You know what? If you hey, this is something we can discuss, or I can just get up a little early over there, like about 5 a.m. to do the local show over here. So, I'm not
Yeah,
against that. As long as I
I'm
can,
not. I'm not really into just myself talking into the computer, man. So
or you
yeah,
can get Gunner, or you can get some of your people get freaking Bosco.
me
You got your
Bosco.
people.
Yeah,
We
we'll
just
see. All right, we'll
yeah.
talk about it.
All right. So he's biased. I'm Trav, and the Sports
Peace. Have a
Backbone
good weekend.
podcast is going to sign off. Deuces.